We're hoping that whoever is elected, that this recognition that innovation is going to help get us out of this mess. The coronavirus crisis turbocharged the move towards these innovative platforms. And we don't think there's any looking back from there.
Hey everyone, today I just want to talk about what CEO of ARK Invest, Cathy Wood, just posted. In this video, she talks about election impact, employment numbers, economic indicators. If you're unfamiliar, ARK Invest is one of the most successful investment firms in the modern days. They've just been beating the S&P 500 when even Warren Buffett has not been able to beat it. So what she said really matters, and I respect her opinion a lot. I would highly recommend you go through it. In this video, I want to focus on her thoughts on the election, because I know that's coming up and a lot of us, me especially, are very worried about it and how the markets are going to react. But before we get to the election stuff, I'll just give you a quick highlight of what else she says. She talks about how airlines will be the beneficiary of the stimulus package. She also talks about how there are actually labor shortages in the market now, especially in the restaurant, leisure, and hospitality industry. Apparently, a lot of people aren't willing to go back to work due to the situation. She believes that the stimulus is going to happen before Election Day. And again, these are just her predictions. She's not saying this is definitely going to happen, but this is what she thinks, but based on her analysis. She talks a lot about how innovation is disruptive and disruptive things happen when there are crises like these. So she believes innovation has definitely taken off and there's no turning back no matter what happens. So she's most likely talking about all of the tech companies that have recently grown a lot or have been really useful in these quarantine times. Cathy also notes that the jobs that are being propped up by the government that would have died unless they got government funding, she thinks they might be doing a disservice to the people still in those industries because they are being artificially kept alive. And that's just holding on to a past that is not going to be our future. Another important point is that she noted that Walmart actually increased their wages up 15% over the whole year, and there's even an 11% increase recently, and that could be a signal of wage inflation. And once wage inflation becomes a thing, it becomes embedded into actual inflation, so that's just something to be on guard. Regarding the market overall,
many are convinced we are in a V-shaped recovery. They're beginning to question, okay, if the election occurs, is there going to be enough uncertainty where we'll relapse? We don't think that will be the case.
Recently, there's a little bit of an indigestion, but she actually doesn't believe that we'll have a relapse. She thinks the growth will likely continue. And now let's look at her thoughts on the election.
As far as the Trump presidency goes, we have an idea of what will happen because of the first administration. We're probably going to see lower taxes of all kinds, at least proposed, whether that's capital gains, income taxes, a movement towards a flat tax, estate taxes, and maybe even more corporate tax reform. Which may streamline the tax code to the benefit of some and to the detriment of others. More of the same is what we'd expect, as well as more deregulation. With a Biden administration, given what we're hearing from former Vice President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we know there will be higher tax rates of all kinds. And there probably will be a lot more, an unwinding of the deregulation and more regulation. Now, just from a pure incentive point of view, we think this will hurt future innovation. And in fact, what it could do is add more momentum to the innovation that I just mentioned has hit escape velocity, because corporations and consumers are probably going to have to look for ways to save costs if their taxes are going up. And we know that innovation is a surefire way to cut costs. It's usually cheaper, better, faster, more productive, more creative in terms of evolving new products and services. So it actually could help those.
Okay, so that's really interesting. She's kind of playing both sides a little bit. On one hand, she's saying that generally Trump, because he will cut taxes, he will deregulate, that will generally encourage innovation. And she is worried about the Biden-Kamala administration because they are definitely going to increase taxes. And generally, if you're increasing taxes, that is more difficult for innovation. But for existing companies that have already hit that rocket fuel ship and they're just shooting up, they won't be stopped. They will actually use that limitation and maybe find more ways to innovate even harder because they have to cut costs.
We're hoping that whoever is elected, that this recognition that innovation is going to help get us out of this mess, we hope that will resonate. We are sure that it will with the Trump administration. We are not sure that it will with the Biden administration, but we surely will be beating the drum out there, advocating for policies that will accelerate innovation, increase productivity, increase the generation of wealth for all, and create better paying jobs.
In summary, just based on economic factors and her fund's focus on innovation, she clearly prefers Trump and not Biden. As a voter, that's not the only thing you should consider, but that's definitely a big factor. I don't feel like she's completely against a Biden administration either. She did say there's a possibility that the innovative companies would be more aggressive in their innovation. Ultimately, she believes that whatever presidency could support the most innovation would be better for America and its people as a whole. Anyways, that's all I got. Please like and subscribe if that was helpful. I think this is a very crucial time in our lives. Every presidential election is touted as the most important one ever, but I do think this is literally the most important one. So no matter where you stand, no matter what your thoughts are, please vote. The life we have now wouldn't be possible were it not for having a successful democracy throughout decades and decades of this country's existence. So coming off my soapbox, this is Green Knight Trading, where Squires become knights. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and stay tuned.